It's Friday the 28th of November, and on tonight's show, we'll be looking forward to Blackpool's away trip to Harrogate Town in the second round of the FA Cup. And to help us with this, we are joined by two Marks. Firstly, Mark Fenton, who is an ex-Harrogate Town goalkeeper, and Mark Aspinall, who is giving Timmy Two Scarves a run for his money, being a dual Harrogate Town and Blackpool supporter. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast. Friday night preview, Harrogate Town versus Blackpool. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Seasiders podcast, Friday night preview. It's John stepping into Sam's shoes this evening. He's away taking pictures of some cods, I believe, Tom, tonight.
Absolutely. He's second clubs now.
Yeah, as I said on the intro, this is the Friday night preview show, previewing Harrogate Town. We've got the usual. Tim is on board this evening. Hi, Tim.
Good evening.
And with a two scarves reference, a man after your own thunder here is my brother Mark Aspinall, who is a lifetime Blackpool supporter. There he is waving, but also has Harrogate Town connections, Mark. Isn't that correct? There it is.
There we go. Yeah, I live in Harrogate, and we have the scarf.
I don't know if you know about Tim, but he was widely branded Timmy Two Scarves during the lockdown for his penchant. Is that the word for going to German games and picking up scarves of other clubs? Is that the right word?
Propensity, I think, is the. I've still got a few scarves at the bottom of one of my drawers upstairs, mainly German.
So yeah, brothers in arms. And finally, we've got a special guest. Our special guest this evening is Mark Fenton, who used to play for the Town as the goalkeeper. 250 appearances, I believe, nearly, Mark. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, John. 247 appearances in the 19th century. Well, it feels like that, but yes, a long time ago, but yes, that's correct.
Right, well, welcome to the Seasiders podcast anyway. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm sure your input will be greatly appreciated and give us some good insight. So just before we kick off, gents, I think it's only right to say to the three of you, I'm not sure about Mark F, but happy Lancashire Day.
Oh, is it really? Yes.
And the presence of the Yorkshireman makes it even better.
Sorry, at this point, I must leave the conversation.
We've driven him off already. Yeah, happy Lancashire Day, everybody. So, hooray to Lancashire. Isn't that right?
Hooray! Drink to
drinks to the Red Rose County.
Yes. I'll drink anyway.
There is a war of roses of sorts this weekend, and Blackpool taking on Harrogate Town in the second round of the FA Cup. That's why we're all here. But just before we kick off, we're just going to go through the two guests on this show, the two Marks. So we'll get the most irrelevant one out of the way first. So this is you, Mark Aspinall. So, Mark, apart from sharing my same name, tell us a bit about yourself and your dual supporting Blackpool and Harrogate background.
So, as an Aspinall, I grew up with our host in South Shore and attended my first Seasiders games in the early 70s. I don't remember the first division games, but probably from about 73 onwards was when my dad took me to initially the West Paddock, and then we graduated on to the Cop with the roof. So went to many quite big games. 25,000s were a regular occurrence in that time So I had a very, very affectionate view of the old Bloomfield Road, especially when it had the roof on. And I've been a lifelong Seasider. Moved to London in the 80s. And then after some years there working down there, moved up to Harrogate in 20 2003, and I've been involved in junior football in Harrogate and met Mark as a neighbour, and involved in the junior game. And one of the founders of our junior club is now the MD of Harrogate Town, who was on the national news last night.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw the picture.
Yeah, so Gary Plant is the founder, one of the founders of the junior football club, at which I'm now a coach. So I coach an under-15s team. So it's amazing to see Gary in there, and obviously with Mark and a couple of others, got a couple of connections with Harrogate Town. So been to see them a few times because the local club have done amazingly well. And Gary, who was on the news last night, has done a great job building the club up to what it is now. And it was interesting to see the comparisons of Harrogate Town and AFC Fylde. And if you remember, Mark, we went to a playoff semi-final at Town about 3 years ago, when Fylde looked like the dominant force in non-league football. But it's turned out that Fylde have gone and got relegated, and Harrogate Town have gone from strength to strength. So, and obviously Harrogate is a town about half the size of Blackpool, whereas you look at Fylde. I mean, it's what, Kirkham, Wesham. I mean, it's a very different. Yeah, it's one man in a dog. So Harrogate's got something about it. Harrogate's not got a massive football tradition, but it's growing, and with the club under the managership of the Weaver family. The owner is the manager's dad, and Simon Weaver's been in charge for 12 years, I think, at Town.
Yeah, he's the longest serving manager, isn't he, in the top four divisions?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a real family sort of setup, then, isn't it? So
yes, it is.
The manager's the owner's son, right? Okay. Didn't know that.
And in terms of the club, I'll just hand over to Mark, who was actually nominated by Gary Plant as a club ambassador, and I had the honour of assisting the club ambassador one particular afternoon game. So, Mark, over to you.
Yes, well, thank you, Mark, for that introduction.
I'll do the linking round here. Actually, just ignore him. Don't take any notice of him.
Hey, younger bro, shut up. Let Mark speak.
He's taking over already. I'll introduce Mark. So I've got a structure here, Mark, and sets of questions. So if you don't mind, can I speak? Okay.
Just mute him, John.
Actually, yes, that's good power, isn't it? Mute. There you go. If only we had this growing up. Yeah, Mark, I've got some Mark F. I've got some set questions. Well, not set questions, a structure that we like to ease the guests in on. So, just tell us a bit about yourself, your career as a professional footballer and as a Harrogate Town keeper. How did that all start?
Well, I started as a youngster over in my native East Riding. And if you can't understand me, I will send out a spreadsheet to give you the translation.
I was about to say, you look and sound a bit like Mick McCarthy.
Basically.
So, I was 16 and playing Melbourne Prem with Bridlington Town. And then I got to move over to North Ferriby. It's a bit of I'll get to the Harrogate Town bit. And then university called after North Ferriby, played at Guiseley, and my first job was in Harrogate, and I went for the interview. I was contracted at Guiseley, and I went for the interview at the school I was going to, and the interview went really well, and my boss to be sat me in a little changing room and said, well, look, we'd really like you to join the school. We think you're what we want for this particular post, and we think you've got all the attributes. And I was like, oh, that's good. And but we would like you to sign for Harrogate Town. That's a condition of the job. And I was like, well, that's a bit weird, really. So, okay, this teaching post, and the interview is like, okay. So I said to the guy, I said, well, look, that's absolutely fine. I really like the job. I love the job. I love the school. But I need to clear something up first. When we played earlier in the season at Nethermore Park at Guiseley, you did me. And this chap said, well, what do you mean?
In what
I said, well, I came
context?
for a cross. And I was knocked to the ground. And in the skirmish, you put the foot in and caused this rather deep gash in my eyebrow. And it went quiet for a while. And I'm thinking, the job's gone. It's a nightmare. We're in Thatcher's Britain. There's no jobs. And he said, yeah, I did. I thought, oh, okay, that's fine. So I'll take the job. We'll move on. Yeah. So I signed for Town the following year, and then I had 9 more seasons with Harrogate Town.
What year did you sign? If you can
87. I'd just
87.
come back from the World Student Games in the former Yugoslavia, and
What were you there for? Doing what?
I was just handing out the towels and one thing and another.
Was this behind the Iron Curtain at the time as well?
It was, yeah. And I know there's a bit of there may be a reference to Halifax Town, but before we get on to the particular person involved, I'd been to the 1985 World Student Games in Japan, and there was about 4 of us who were kept on in the side, and we went to Yugoslavia, and I was tasked. I don't know if you know this, Aspie. I was tasked with looking after a chap called Greg Fee, and he was a really good centre half and he played at Halifax Town, and I'd been tasked with rooming with Greg to make sure I looked after him, to make sure he was okay. He stayed on the straight and narrow, and nothing could possibly go wrong. So we arrived in, behind the Iron Curtain, and we were given a big security protocol discussion about how, we mustn't misbehave. We got to be in, whenever we were in the curfew, we've got to be back in the dorms or something like that. Anyway, first night we went out for beers, and anyway, in the morning, we turned up for breakfast. So we're there at breakfast, and it's Neil Warnock's brother, who's the manager, John Warnock. And so John's saying to me, hi, Mark, you okay? Yeah, we settled in really well with lovely night's sleep. So, no problem. We're really looking forward to training. Where's Greg? Oh, well, he wasn't in bed when I came down this morning, John. So, okay, right. So, first night in Yugoslavia, and it transpired that Greg had decided it would be a good idea, possibly, to potter out into town, and found a car which was unlocked because, not many cars about, and taken it for a spin. And it hadn't gone particularly well. It got picked up by the local constabulary, and we had an international incident on our hands with only 24 hours gone. So, yeah. So then it was, we're all going home. So, but fortunately, we managed to persuade the chef de mission that wasn't the right idea, and we were all going to behave, and that was fine. So that was that's where I got to, and then when I came home from that, that's where I was. Yeah.
So you played for, was it 9 years? Did you say for Town?
9 years at Town, yeah. 9 years
where
at
did
Town. Most of them really we struggled really. The first
what division were you in?
Years. Unibond. You remember the Unibond sort of setup, which was the old Northern Prem. So we played in the new Northern Prem Unibond. That was really where we played. Yeah.
Okay, so where did you? That was as a semi-pro, was that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Semi-pro. And I believe you went on to league football after that. Is that correct?
Well, prior to when I came back at 87, this is the tale really, because we had a guy called Rick Holden. Do you remember Rick Holden? Who
Yeah,
Man
played for
City
Blackpool.
in Oldham?
Played for Blackpool.
Did he really?
He did,
Did he?
yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Did
he obviously
really
came
well.
back.
Did really well.
95, 96
Yeah.
season.
Him and
Did
Andy
he?
Barlow as well, yeah. Ian Marshall.
Right. So when we were at Carnegie, we had a right good side. We there was a guy called Frank Harrison, Rick Holden, there was Chris Conway and myself. And they were a year younger than me at uni. And they'd been taken on as they left in 97. That'll be about right. Yeah, that's 97. I've been teaching a year, but because of the year downer rule with British students, I was able to go and play for British students in Yugoslavia anyway. So they're playing over at Halifax. So there's Ricky Holden and Frank Harrison, who was a fantastic left back. He was brilliant. I think somebody did him at Chesterfield, broke his leg, and he was never the same again. Is that what you call it? Well, yeah, it was terrible.
Chesterfield, our bogey team from many years ago.
Yeah, they were.
He was a gifted footballer, really, really good. So anyway, so I come back, and Ricky Holden's playing over there, and I get a call to say, and it's Billy Eyre. Billy Eyre calls me and says, you don't know me, but Frank Harrison and Ricky Holden and Chris Conway said, you might fancy a game. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, we've got a pre-season over at Whitby. Yeah.
This is for Halifax, isn't it? This is Halifax.
Yep. Yeah, this is how it worked. And Paddy Roach, the ex-Man U keeper, had broken a finger or two, and that was why. So I said, well, no, I don't have anything on really, so I'll have a potter over. So I met the guys over at Whitby, and really lovely lads, really nice. Phil Brown was the skipper.
The Phil Brown.
Phil Brown.
The Phil Brown.
Yeah,
Phil Brown,
yeah.
as in Sam Allardyce, Phil Brown, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Blackpool assistant manager.
He was, our assistant manager for many years. Yeah.
Player.
So
he
the
played.
manager in Southampton.
Yeah. He played for us as well. He played for us.
Yeah, did he? Yeah.
So he was the fullback and he was the captain, and they all made me feel really welcome. Got in there. We won 5-3, and Billy Eyre, who was just what a lovely man. Honestly, he was just lovely. I had no real experience of pro football apart from a brief stint at Southampton, and he said, "Okay, yeah, done all right there, Finners." He says, "Do you want to play next Saturday?" And I said, "Yeah, fine, yeah. Where are we?" He said, "Oh, at Ellen Road."
In what competition?
I think it was called the Humberside Cup. It was a precursor for all these pre-season friendlies, that are filmed all over the world. So I said, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, we'll give that a go. So I turned up, obviously, absolutely bricking it completely. So I turned up at Ellen Road, and we played, and I think Leeds at the time in 87 were probably in Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
John Pearson was a centre forward, really big guy, hard to handle. John Sheridan, the Republic of Ireland international midfielder, was playing. And we had all on, obviously, because we were Division 4. And we battled hard. And after about 20 minutes, a penalty was awarded. And John Sheridan stepped up to take the penalty. And cut a long story short, to my left, best side for me, saved the penalty. Off we went. Fantastic, quite a crowded cop end for a friendly. And we lost in the end 1-0.
But you saved the penalty in the Cop at Ellen Road.
From John Sheridan, yes. So I was very happy with that. So I came off the park and it was all good. And Billy Esses was you did all right there. I said, yeah, I thought I did okay, Billy. He says, What about Tuesday? What are you doing Tuesday?
What did you say? Oh, I'm washing my hair, Billy. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going shopping in Asda. So it's, completely hand to mouth sort of situation. And, I said, well, where are we? He said, we're at Leeds Road. We're playing Huddersfield.
Huddersfield.
All right, I'll give that a go. Yeah, well, come along. I'll come along to that. And there's two things I remember about the Huddersfield game. One,
this was in the Humberside Cup still, was it?
Yeah. So I think it was. There must have been Huddersfield, Leeds, maybe just the three of them, and obviously
no Hull City.
No Hull City. No, unfortunately, no. I was probably banned from playing for them after the poor performances in the past and the reserves. So,
for reference, everybody, Mark is a Hull City supporter.
Thank you. Yeah, come on the Tigers.
Get that in.
Come on the Tigers. A bit of a renaissance with them at the moment, and there is a connection there with the Seasiders because we are
similar as well, isn't it?
And the
Kit and Phil Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always a connection.
Just avert your eyes to the screen for a minute, gents. We've just got that comment coming in from a Mark saying, "Evening, lads. How did you get Mick McCarthy on the show?"
For one night only.
We bought him a crate of beer, that's how. Anyway, sorry, Mark, probably, please continue.
So I turned up at Leeds Road, and the two things I remember, we won 1-0. Well, three things, I think. We won 1-0, but Leeds Road, as a goalkeeper, you check the goalposts out, and the goalposts at Leeds Road in 1987 were elliptical. They're not round, they're not square, they're elliptical. And that is so weird because, well, if you think...
What do you mean, like the joint? Do you mean the joint of the post and bar? Is that what you mean?
The post is elliptical. It's just weird. So if...
They're all like that though, aren't they?
No, they're round.
Were they always like square? I've always known it as elliptical.
The original post was square.
Right.
I've played when they had leather balls, proper leather. Anyway, they were square, but they should be circular if you like. But these were elliptical posts. It was just completely bizarre. Anyway, we won the game 1-0, and on the coach back to Halifax, Billy says, "Oh, great. Well, I'd like to offer you a contract. Paddy might be, we're not sure about his injury." I said, "That's fantastic." He said, "What's the crack then?" I said, "How do you do this?" He said, "Well, my wife's a primary school teacher. In fact, she's a primary school head, and she said it's a right dodgy game. Is Division 3 and 4 football. So we'll see how we are at Christmas, and we'll get the contract sorted. You've got a job at your school in Harrogate, and we'll go from there." So I said, "Okay, all right." Anyway, we got to Christmas. Prior to that, I said, "Well, what we'll do is we'll keep on a non-contract basis." So they were paying me on a non-contract, which was fantastic.
So you were working at the same time. So you're still playing and playing for Halifax.
That's right.
So still working as a teacher and playing for Halifax.
That's correct. Yeah, and so they had control of me, if you like. Anyway, it got to the end of the season, and they said, I think Billy might have gone by then, or he was on his way. The money had gone, and it was almost a blessing, really, because I could have been in limbo, really. But Billy was absolutely fantastic. So every week I'd go along to the games, and he'd look after me and make sure it was okay. And one thing, well, what a gentleman, absolute gentleman. Yeah, he was fantastic for me.
I mean, Billy Eyre, he's a legend at Bloomfield Road, isn't he? His name, you say his name, and everyone almost bows down to it, don't they?
Yeah, I think he holds a special place in Blackpool fans' hearts, doesn't he? Mainly, I think it's the fact he was such a nice guy, but also he wore his heart on his sleeve as a manager, and I think as a fan, that's what you really appreciate. I mean, I just every time I think of Billy Eyre, I think, because at that time we used, for those of who maybe didn't see, we used to actually have the dugouts at the east. So Billy used to come out of the south tunnel in the corner and walk across the pitch, and he'd walk across the pitch, and he was like giving it loads as he went across the pitch, like getting the fans psyched up. And that's what you as a fan, you want to see. You want to see your manager be as
passion.
engaged with the process as you are, and he was, and that's why I think, and I think he was quite badly treated when they let him go, and we all love him, and we've got a lot of time for him, and I'm hoping at some point the club recognise that in a more sort of formal way, because I think if most people were asked to pick their favourite Blackpool manager, they would say him.
Mm.
So
it's great to hear your stories, Mark, to be honest, because it just shows it's not just us, isn't it? He was a genuinely a lovely guy, and somebody who just lived and breathed football.
Yeah, he was really fantastic, and I think Wayne Allison was playing for us at the time, and I bumped into him at St George's Road would have been about 8 years ago. I was doing a bit of mentoring for the FA, and he was a former player for Billy, and he spoke so highly of him, and he left that sort of impression on you as he was a good manager, but he was a lovely fella, and I think that really translated well into how the players really wanted to play for him, and I think that's lost in many teams. That almost love for the man, that they really go out there on the pitch and give their all for him. He was fantastic.
And Mark, any memories of Billy Eyre? My main memory of him was as Tim just said, as he's coming out the tunnel, the fist in the air gesture towards the south and the rest of the ground. We've never seen his like in the past, and I don't think we will again.
No, I don't think so. But unfortunately, that's when I was working down in London at the time, so I didn't have as much of that experience as you did at home at the time. So I saw it from afar. But yes, I totally agree with all the sentiments, and great to hear the stories.
Tom, is Billy Eyre just a bit before your time, or do you remember anything about Billy?
Before my time, but research into the club and watching old videos of him, and videos of Twitter on his anniversary, etc. Of just an outstanding man, and he was a man of the club and a man of the fans. And I think Tim has already said it's just someone that he loved the club and the fans loved him back. So what more can you say about a manager? And like you said, it's hard to get that nowadays. And you get your Klopps of the world who get the fans sort of going, but he generally loved our club. So it was a great man.
Viewers, if you do have any quick memories or comments about Billy Eyre, do get them in the comments. I'll try and get some up on the screen. I've got one from Christian Mulstonome. We loved Billy more, even more due to the fact that Oyston had him working with his hands behind his back. That's correct. Are you going to say something, Tim?
Yeah, just remember, I don't know whether anybody out there remembers it, but if people go on AVFTT, my brother's known as Halifax 71. It's not that he's got any association with Halifax, other than that was his first game. And we beat Halifax 7-1. I don't know, you weren't playing, were you, Mark, by any chance? Were you?
well, Tim, if I was, I wouldn't admit to it.
Well, but
is that why you got
the reason
sorry,
the reason I mentioned it was that Billy played centre back for Halifax that day, and it was the first my dad took myself and it was my brother's first game at Blackpool, and Dave Bamber got a hat-trick, and it was a fantastic performance, and we were on the Cop, and so I got quite good memories of that. But Billy played centre backs. Obviously, I don't know who else he played for off the top of my head, but he did play for Halifax during his professional career, so presumably that's how he got his foot in with the management job there.
Yeah, just a quick fact on Dave Bamber. My first ever girlfriend at Roseacre was, in fact, became Dave Bamber's wife. There you go. There's a little fact for you.
She missed out there, didn't she?
She really did, yeah.
Legendary Blackpool striker, 38 goals one season. Oh, Mark.
Look what she could have had.
Right, Mark F, just coming over to you again. So how long did you last get at Halifax then? Was it just up until Christmas, did you say?
Yeah, just one season. And then Billy had moved on to another club. The non-contract expired. And so I remained at Harrogate Town for the remaining, for the next sort of 8 years. And that season was pretty good, to be fair. So 87, 88, 88, 89 were a really good side. And then 89, 90 was when we actually won some silverware at Town, which was the Unibond Division 1 Cup. I know you guys at Blackpool have never had the heady heights of the Unibond Division 1 Cup, but that was
we've won the LDV trophy
Twice.
Twice. 2 times winners, mate. 2 times winners.
It's the old Mourinho.
It'd be a pizza box if it was in the modern age. The pizza box trophy.
So that season we did quite well. We had a really good. We played Congleton. Do you know where Congleton is? It's
in Cheshire, South Cheshire.
Somewhere over somewhere
near Mac, isn't it?
That's not too far away.
Yeah. And so I had a really good relationship with Congleton. Their fans. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have quite a large chin. And when I'd be running,
what was that, Mick? I mean, something.
So can you see that? Anyway,
Ouch!
So one season, I'm running down towards the cop. Well, I'm saying the cop end, but it was a shed, with about 3 people and a dog in it. But I got down there and got to about the 18-yard box, and they all went, "Nice to see you. To see you." Nice.
Good game.
So that good point, John. It was at half time, and so I said in response, by about the time I got to the 6-yard line, "Let's look at the old scoreboard. Congleton 1.
Look at them, they're so appealing.
Come on, Dollies, do
your dealing.
Yeah. All that, yeah. So we played these guys in a 2-legged final. Well, I think we won 1-0 at their spot, or 1-0 or 2-1, and 3-0 at our place. Had a good game at our spot. Clean sheet. The scoreline flattered us, really, and that was the most important piece of silverware in about 120 years. So
right,
I'm happy with that.
So you're part of the history, the illustrious history of the football club.
Well, I like to sound as though it is, really, yes.
Right, excellent. I've just got a couple of comments coming in about Billy Ayre. This is from Gareth White. I wouldn't be the Blackpool fan that I am today without having King Billy as the manager of the club when I first started attending Bloomfield Road regularly. Yeah, Mark, he is known as King Billy at Bloomfield Road. That's what a lot. Yeah,
quite rightly so. Yeah.
That's what he's referred to. Steve Hutchin, one of the main reasons I became a Pool fan. A home form when he took over, pulled me in as a Pool fan. I've never looked back. He was the messiah for me. Gutted when he left. And
we were unbelievable at home in that period.
I run him. Yeah, was it about 24
games?
2
years almost. Well, for 2 years we very rarely lost at home, and we very rarely drew. I mean, Dave Bamber was on fire, wasn't he? Came back to join us after he'd been away at Coventry and Swindon, and he I think he got thick end of 40 goals for 2 seasons on the trot. We got promoted. We lost a playoff final, didn't we? In I think that was Billy's first season, if I remember rightly.
Did he come in originally? Was that the Torquay game?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that game.
That was when another one of your ex-girlfriends, Mark. Sorry, Tim. Just one sec. Said after that game, she said to you, and I'll never forget this. Do you want to tell the listeners what she said?
So it was a sudden death.
Go on.
Sudden death penalty shootout at Wembley for promotion from Div 4 to Div 3, and Dave Bamber took the penalty. And I don't know if you remember it. He took the penalty and hit the post, the corner post. It was the Wembley's worst ever penalty. And my girlfriend at the time turned around to me and said, "Well, don't worry, Mark. It's only a game at that very moment. What can I say?
It's only a game.
I didn't take it well.
You can't think of anything worse to say to someone, can you? At the time, I
remember that game. It was after 11 o'clock at night. That as well, wasn't it? Because
the
game kicked off late. We had extra time, then penalties, and all London transport had stopped because we were staying down there. And all London transport had stopped. So it was really difficult to actually get away from the place if you weren't in a car. But I think it was one of the only years that they had Friday night playoff finals. So.
Yeah, it was a Friday night. Yeah. It's etched in my memory, that game.
Right, I suppose we'd better get on to the preview of the Harrogate Town Blackpool game. So let's take a very quick break and we'll move on to that shortly. Putting your hands in your ears there, Mark. Right, focus on Harrogate Town. Focus on Harrogate Town. So this is where the two Marks come into play even more here. Quickly, we're just going to very quick recap of the first round. Blackpool obviously beat Eastbourne. Gary Medina scoring 2 goals. Jerry Yates added a third, so it's 3-0. And Harrogate won 4-1 in the first round. 4-1, sorry, against Skelmersdale. So, Mark F, I think I'll come to you first. How much are you following the club these days? Are you sort of could you pass comments on them?
Difficult. Yeah, difficult because one can't go and see them, but you follow obviously all the scores and see how they're doing, and you check out what's happening. So, as far as everybody else, in terms of lockdown, we're following as best we can. So,
do you still class yourself as a fan of the club?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or just a kind of a well-wisher?
Well, I think you can be both. You can be a well-wisher and a fan. I mean, I don't know what the difference is between a well-wisher and a fan. Anybody got an idea of a definition there?
Well, I guess in my situation, as here we go. Let's put this on then. Here we go. as a lifelong Seasider, I moved to Harrogate a few years ago, and with a few connections, and having been to a few games with Mark and our sons, you have an affection for the club. And when they were in very different leagues until this season, and then there was never a possibility really that they're going to play each other until this tomorrow, when they're actually in Harrogate and we can't go. I mean, I'm absolutely gutted that we can't actually go to the game.
It must be it must be a bittersweet moment for you, Mark, when you saw Blackpool's name pulled out after Harrogate Town.
It was. I was really upset because really obviously wanted to go to the game, and also it would have been great if all of you guys could have come over. We could have had a Friday night out and a Saturday afternoon. Enjoying all the delights that Harrogate has to offer. So it's a real shame.
Real shame. It's a great town. It's a great town, isn't it? A massive big open space right near the ground. And it would have been a fantastic trip for Blackpool fans. Getting on the train, or coming down the A59, whatever it might be. It would have been we would have brought. I don't know how many we would have been able to bring, but we would have filled our allocation, whatever that was. And I'm sure it'd have been a big party day, whatever the result.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I'm so disappointed that it would have been great to welcome everyone here and have a fantastic day. It is a small ground. It's quite it's very compact, small stands. They've improved the ground at Wetherby Road. It's called the EnviroVent Stadium, I think now. Okay. They've got a new main stand, some standing areas. So it would have been a great atmosphere. Not huge, but
where would Blackpool fans have been, Mark, in the stadium?
I think they would have been on the Wetherby Road end, Mark. I think last time.
Wetherby Road stand. The last time the Portsmouth guys were there. Yeah, would be there.
Was that behind the goal? Terracing behind the goal?
No, it's down actually. The Weatherby Road runs down the side of the ground, down one of the touch lines. So
Terracing or seats?
Terracing.
It's terracing. Yeah. It allows the Harrogate Ultras to be at the top end and sing their famous "We're a town full of tea shops" song.
Just a town full of tea shops. Town full of tea.
Which fills the heart with dread of opposing supporters. Yes. That's
with reference to Betty's tea rooms, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I was doing a bit of a Google before on you, and I was actually quite surprised that I think when you mentioned Portsmouth, I think that is still the largest crowd they've had, Harrogate, because I think it was just over 3,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, Aspie and I went to that, and it was when we had floodlight failure, so we stood for 2 hours in the pouring rain before we were allowed in with our boys, and it was just awful, wasn't it? Because we were frozen before we started, and then it got even colder.
It was it was the game. The game was on BT Sport, so that all the cameras were there. It was it the first round of the FA Cup, Portsmouth ex-winners. So big night in Harrogate. Eventually got in the ground because there'd been a floodlight failure. They just happened to have a electrical supply engineer in the crowd who went to fix the problem. So they got the lights on an hour to go. Huge night for Harrogate because it's on TV, live on TV. And then 10 minutes before they got it fixed, 10 minutes before, one corner of the ground, the lights went off. So it was a real worry if the game was going to be on. But the town fans and the Portsmouth fans all got the phones out like this and started going, "We'll play in the dark. We'll play in the dark. We're Harrogate. We'll play in the dark."
That's right.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
so did the game go ahead then?
Yeah, the game went ahead.
What was the score?
What was it? Harrogate went 1-up.
It's 2-1.
Yeah, and Portsmouth, were just a bit too strong and won 2-1.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah, they were good.
So Harrogate have never made it into the third round. I shouldn't really be saying
Correct,
this.
yeah,
It's
yes.
a bit of a moment. So let's go on to the game itself then. Tomorrow, Mark A, I'll come to you first. Knowing what you know about Harrogate, what can we expect from them, and how do you think the game's going to go?
Okay, so I've seen one Harrogate game that was on TV against Bradford earlier in the year, and it was a 1-0 win for Harrogate at Valley Parade. And I have to say,
wasn't it that, mustn't they? Coming up from non-league, playing Bradford.
Coming up from non-league in the same league as Bradford City, local derby, and Harrogate absolutely bossed the game. They won the game 1-0. I'm just looking at the stats here. They had 25 shots to Bradford's 9.
What?
They had 9 shots on target. Possession was similar. But that just gives the Seasiders just, this is not a pushover, okay? Because Harrogate are a very good team. They've grown, they've developed, and they are holding their own now in League Two. They had a bit of a wobble recently, but won again in the last match. I think it's Tuesday night. So they're finding the feet, but they're operating at a sort of top half level of League Two. So this is not a pushover. And that game I saw them play, they played football. So for me, the key players to look out for, obviously the goalkeeper. Obviously, goalkeepers at Harrogate Town are legends in their own lifetimes. James Belshaw. So non-league, joined into 2017. Looks like a good keeper. Bosses, lots of confidence. In the middle, you've got Josh Falkingham and also Jack Muldoon. So Falkingham came from Darlington, Muldoon came from Fylde. I don't know if any of you guys remember him from Fylde. Very, very good middle of midfield. Small of stature, these guys, but very good on the ball. Look like Football League players. And then up front, you've got the twin strike force of Mark Beck, 6'5", from again another one from Darlington, and then you'll know John Stead, ex-Premier League, Blackburn, Sheffield United, Sunderland player. Scored those goals for Bradford against at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So huge couple of options up front.
Wasn't Stead linked with us for one time? But he was
yeah. Was he really? Yeah,
a couple of times. Yeah. 1837 last season, Mark. John Stead. So not been tearing it up, has he?
Well, no, he hasn't been tearing up, but he's been played. Maybe he's getting old. How old is he now? He's
37.
33. Yeah, so he's used sparingly. He comes off the bench quite a lot, so he's not playing all the time. But again, a real threat when he comes off the bench. So it's not going to be an easy game for Blackpool.
So as a 6'5" striker, did you just say then?
Yeah. John Beck is called.
That's quite ironic, isn't it?
Sorry, not John Beck. Mark Beck.
All right.
Mark Beck.
I was about to say, who remembers John Beck?
Mark Beck. So watch out for him tomorrow.
They were famous long ball merchants, weren't they? Of Preston manager.
Not the manager, wasn't he?
So
he
maybe
used to put the markers down the pitch, didn't he? And you had to kick the ball at the marker. It's serious. This he used to put them on like sort of 4 fists down the pitch, and he used to say, "Aim for those markers," and then he'd have the attackers coming, the attacking players coming in and trying to sort of deflect it and bring it and change the way the game was being played. But it was just awful to watch. Preston had. Yeah, Preston. He was at Cambridge, wasn't he? With Dublin.
Yeah, that was Preston.
What was the other guy? What was the other guy who played with Dublin up there? It was quite a successful career as well.
At Cambridge,
there's
they
a
used to also leave the grass longer in the corners, so that the ball could be lumped and then rolled up for the wingers to run onto.
When you hear the opposition's got a 6.5 foot striker, you do tend to think they're going to be playing long ball. So maybe, Tom, you're shaking your head there. Maybe they're going to be mixing it up a bit, which is no bad thing, really, based on what Blackpool have encountered this season.
We wish we had our big striker back sometimes, don't we? So, it's a good option to have on the pitch, and from what I understand, he can play football as well. So maybe the Peter Crouch-esque option where he can play it to feet and in the air as well. So it mixes it up for us and gives sort of our back something to think about for sure.
Steve Claridge was the answer, gentlemen. The name you're looking for.
Ah, right. Okay. So Cambridge.
Yeah. I mean, he used to do quite a lot of punditry as well, didn't he, Steve Claridge?
Yeah.
Right, so Mark F., what can we expect from Harrogate Town with the knowledge that you do have?
I think your brother's been quite succinct in his evaluation of Harrogate Town, but I think the tempo is going to be quick. They like to play short, quick passing. If you've had a look at of course, you'll have studied the Notts County game in the trophy, and you've been looking at that. Absolutely. The Bradford game again shows how they like to play football, and Falkingham, as Mark has highlighted, is the engine room of the team, and he will play, and it will come through him. So, if you negate Falkingham, you probably will stop how Harrogate Town will play. However, they do play a blended form of football, so they're quite happy to bypass midfield and, as you say, go for the 6'5" centre forward Mark Beck. Very good from set pieces, and this has been apparent for the last 3 seasons. If you go back to the previous round, all the goals against Skelmersdale were headers, I think. So they are really tricky.
Played well
You
football.
know, they're not going to be a pushover. You're both in the mid-table. You've got the same amount of points per game, 1.49, 1.5. You know, it's going to be tough. I think it could go to. I think we're doing extra time this year.
And pens.
So there's going to be a goal. There's going to be a goal in it. I think that's all it is. It would be a hard game. I think we would have expected a better draw because Blackpool will bring a lot of experience. You've got so much experience in your team. But I think it's going to be closer than one would expect.
Okay. So just round the room with the Blackpool supporters here. Tom, over to you. How do you see the game panning out tomorrow based on what you've just heard from the Mark twins?
Yeah, I think we're in a position where we need to sort of step our game up a little bit. We can't be complacent. We need to start well, a bit like we controlled the game against Eastbourne. It's one of those games where you could slip up. So if we can keep the ball early doors and not allow them to sort of play their game, then, you know, get an early goal and we could be okay. But judging by the fact they've scored a lot of set pieces and stuff, it doesn't bode well for us at the moment because we concede a lot of goals from set pieces. So,
and
yeah,
we're terrible at set pieces ourselves. So
we can't deliver a ball, can we? So who knows? I mean, that's, to me, it sounds like we're a tough afternoon, if anything, and maybe we even wouldn't be surprised if we lost. It depends who turns up against Donny. You think one of the best halves of football we've had all season, and the second half was back to the start of the season. So it's really difficult to call Blackpool at the moment, isn't it? So they'll be well up for that, and if they start well, we could be struggling. So fingers crossed for a good start.
Yeah. Tim, do you think it'll be a tougher test than Eastbourne? Obviously another non-league side, but Harrogate, obviously a former non-league side.
EFL?
Yeah. Corrected myself there then quickly. So Tim, do you think it'll be a tough test than Eastbourne? I think it obviously will, won't it?
Massively so. I mean, I think I mentioned to you the other day, I'd actually been across to watch Harrogate a few years ago when AFC Foul played them because Sam was commentating on the game, had nothing to do. So I went with him just for the ride. And at the time, and I know you've only just taken it up, you had the artificial pitch, didn't you? And for me, that was a massive, Foul really struggled on it. And I think, although we did okay against Eastbourne, I think we would have struggled if you were still on that pitch. I like to think we've got enough in our locker to win the game. But I don't think we can be messing around too much as regards who we bring in. I think, I'd want to see Ballard back in that side. We spoke about that on Tuesday night, didn't we? And if we've got a big centre half to play against, we need him in there. And hopefully when he gets in there, he'll stay in there. And I think we might go for the more attacking fullbacks, maybe. But I think we've got to keep the spine of the team. I expect to see Yates play. I expect to see Medine play. And I don't think he's going to mess around too much with the centre mid either. We might see wide positions. We might see Kemp. We might see Woodburn start, and might give Kai and CJ a rest. I don't know. I don't think he'll rest them all. I just think he'll rest maybe one or two of them. But hopefully, I mean, CJ's. We know what pace he's got. If he plays, whoever's playing left back for Harrogate's in for a torrid time, I suspect.
Right.
I think we're going to have enough in our locker to win.
Okay, Mark, finally over to you, knowing the two sides as you do. How do you think this game is going to pan out? And do you think Ballard, if he does come in, do you think he'll be able to handle the aerial threat of Mr. Beck?
I think given the shambolic defending of the Seasiders over the season is going to we're going to suffer. So and as Mark said, the fact that the set pieces are a bit of a strength for Harrogate, then I think Harrogate is going to score. But I think Poole have got the attacking confidence now to also score. So it wouldn't surprise me if it went into extra time and maybe even to pens. So and then obviously it's a lottery if it goes to that. So I'm probably going to predict a draw at the end of full time, and then we'll see how it goes in extra time.
Okay, so let's just move on to our match predictions then, Mark. Since you're still talking, do you want to give us an actual
I think
Scoreline.
given the number 2, the 2s have got it. So let's go for 2-2.
I'm just going to write these down actually. While you're saying 2-2, are you?
Yeah.
About what is that after extra time as well?
After full time, I think 2-2.
And then what after extra time?
Well,
who's going through?
Well, I've got to say, Seasiders going to win on penalties after
Right.
that.
Pool on pens, right? And Mr. Fenton. Fenton. just to the listeners, if you are aware of the greatest meme ever, which is Fenton the dog.
And then the dog.
You see,
search it out on YouTube if you've not seen it. It's hilarious. So whatever I was saying to Mark pre-show.
Can anybody tell what does meme mean? I don't know what that is. I see it all the time. What's it mean?
I don't think it's actually a meme, is it? It's actually just a video.
Yeah.
A meme's like a remix of an event that happened to put a funny spin on it. But this is just a hilarious video from the past. Search it out, Fenton the dog. But anyway, I digress. Mark, what's your match prediction?
It's not that hilarious because I never found my dog ever. He's gone.
That poor red set on Richmond Park probably got run over.
I think looking at the stats, you guys are similar points per game as us. Coming away to a hostile environment in an empty EnviroVent Stadium, I think 1-1, and then who knows?
Go on, stick your neck out.
Okay.
Town on pens. Town on pens. Yeah. Okay, Tim.
I'm going to book the trend with my predictions this week. I'm going for a BFC win, and I'm going to go for 3-1 because I do think Halifax then Harrogate will score, but I think they're going to struggle a little bit with our forward line, and so I'm going to go for 3-1, reasonably comfortable win.
Tim's been predicting a lot of defeats recently, so it's good to see him back on the positive train. just to add everybody, I predicted 2-1. I predicted 2-1 Peterborough, Blackpool. Just adding that out there. Tom, over to you.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I was 3-1. I think we've got to kick up the bum from the Doncaster game, and I think he'll want to go and rectify that as soon as possible. So a strong starting lineup with about 3 or 4 changes and a 3-1 win.
I'm going to go for 1-1 Blackpool on after extra time.
To win in extra time, not to go to pens.
And you've got to stick your neck out, John. Come on.
Said 2-1 after extra time.
2-1. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
1-1.
Yeah.
1-1 a regular time and then 2-1 extra time. So I always like to I'm writing these down now, so I don't like to revisit. Right, just for a bit of fun, just before we go, we're going to revisit the players who have played for both clubs. Take a very quick drinks break, and then we're going to move on to that. I think he must need a piss or something. He's literally gone for a piss.
Literally.
I know you said drinks break. I know in his house the kitchen is behind that door.
They play for both. I know it's actually not important that people here watching this, but there are very few players that have played for both. Tom, you did a bit of research into this, didn't you? Couldn't find many players, but one we found was Jerry Yates.
Yeah, Jerry. Yeah,
Jerry Yates
started his youth level at Blackpool. I think he mentioned in his club interview on the main website. So yeah, it was. I didn't know he started at Harrogate, so it's interesting to see. So a bit of a nostalgia for him, and hopefully he can sort of show them what he's about now.
Yeah, we have actually got that on the.
We do have actually a Harrogate boy who's just joined Poole, but I don't think he played for Harrogate. What's the young chap called who we got on loan? Was it from Everton?
Not sure, Mark. Anyway,
you have
a think about it, look it up, and let's just listen to what Jerry Yates had to say before the game.
Okay.
You can. Sorry, listeners. I believe you can't hear. Where's the screen? I don't know what's happening there. No one can see. So hang on a minute. Let's just knock it off. I believe no one could hear that.
No.
That's a bit of a disaster then.
The Gremlins.
I remember this last time. Oh well. Yeah, but Jerry Yates played for both. Mark, do you remember him at all when he played for Town?
Can you remember Jerry Yates at all, Mark?
No, not at all. No, and that's no disrespect to Jerry Yates. I probably wasn't paying much attention at the time.
Listening to Jerry Yates, that's the first time I've actually seen him speak. His voice doesn't match his physical appearance, does it? He's a very softly spoken young man. I expected
I know I couldn't hear.
Yeah. I expected kind of a gruff Geordie or something like that, but yeah. But if Jerry Yates does start tomorrow, Tim, I expect he'll be looking to get on the score sheet again, and he's on a really good run of form at the moment.
Yeah, and to be honest, that connection back to Harrogate, I would think, would hopefully give him that little bit extra incentive. If he's back at where he started, it's always good to sort of try and get yourself on the score sheet, I would have thought. So, I mean, to me, he's really, really, Eastbourne was a turning point for him, probably, wasn't it? When he scored there, and he's been a different player since, and long may it continue.
Tom, you've just mentioned Luke Garbutt's played for both sides.
Yeah, a few mentions in the comments as well. That's where I got it from, to be fair. So yeah, I think from memory, I think Luke Garbutt started there at quite a young age as well, maybe on loan. I'm not sure, but yeah, it'd be nice to see him start for the Pool tomorrow as well.
Yeah, he needs to get some games under his belt as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right, gents, we're over an hour, so we're going to call it a day now. So thanks a lot, Mark, for your stories. Really appreciate you coming on. It's been really interesting.
Oh, been a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. And good luck tomorrow, but not too much luck. And all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for your insight into Harrogate as well. That was good of you to do it.
Okay, well, we needed an intelligent Aspinall on the call, didn't we? So
that mute button again. There it is, and he's off. Joking aside, yeah, it was good. It was good. Mark, you're responsible for Mark coming on, so yeah, you did us a favour there. So thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much, and looking forward to the game tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks,
Third
Tom.
round of the cup.
You're welcome.
Just to let you know, listeners, viewers, etc., we are coming back on our 606 Match Reaction show directly after the game at 6 p.m. on this channel, so do stay tuned for that. So all remains to be said is thanks for downloading, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and up the Pool and the Town.
Up the Pool.
Up the Pool.
Go on the Pool. And
for the benefit of the audio listeners there, Mark was showing holding up a scarf, proud to be Town. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for everyone on the stream. Please do like and subscribe if you've watched this on YouTube. Helps us grow and all that. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you on the next show.
okay.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, and up the Pool.
Up the Pool.